If you ever get lonely, if you never did, I count the hours till you come round again. I'm just saying, baby.
Please give a round of applause to Nathaniel Rateliff and a couple of nights, so it's Mark and Patrick. Round of applause for these guys, please. I just want to talk a little bit about the dreams you had before you've kind of hit this kind of season of your career, and you know the expectations, the hopes that you maybe grew up with or looked into the future and thought at some point I hope I'd do this or do that, and then the reality of what that feels like now you're in it.
Like when I first signed to Rounder Records, you know, I thought, I was like, man, we're going to be like as huge as Bon Iver, you know, and then that just doesn't happen. You know? And that has a lot to do with the people you have that are working with you. When you can make a great record, in that first record we put out, there was just like so many different things that happened that can make the record not do well. Like the record label got bought by another company.
Yeah.
My A&R guy quit.
Yeah.
The publishing company I was working for got absorbed by a bigger publishing company, and the guy who signed me quit. It's easy to get discouraged along the way, and then every once in a while you just discover you're like, oh man, I think we've made it, you know, and it's kind of surprising because it's just been years and years of working towards something, and then once you're kind of in the middle of it, you're like, oh well, now we just have to work harder.
How do you change from feeling in that roller coaster to actually being on a bit of a level and being more confident and secure in who you are and what music you're writing?
I think if you can avoid the roller coaster and just stay focused on what you're doing, you know, definitely take the opportunity and the time to like meet any of those people that are in the industry that want to check out your band, but don't look at it as like the answer to, you know, what you're going to do musically or creatively.
Yeah, I would say just sell out shows. It's easier said than done, but if you sell out shows, no matter the size of the club too, even if it's this size, you could say, yeah, sold it out. And the next level is going to go, all right, time to move you up. And then if you do that, you don't need to worry about, like, all that stuff will fall into place, like label stuff. But as long as you like have good shows.
I just want to ask about the relationship you have with your manager and how long you've been with your current manager and how important is that relationship to you?
We've been together for 3 years now, but he also helped me put out our last record and single. Never work with somebody who makes the other people you work with feel isolated. You know, that was one of the things I learned from our first manager. That and make sure that your manager is not, you know, teaming them up against you or you up against them, or like you need to feel like you're a family, and you need to feel like the person you're working with is very trustworthy. You know?
It's good to have a manager that doesn't want to interfere artistically at all either. You know, he kind of just trusts us to do the artistic end of it. He takes care of the business end. So,
how do you write your songs? Like what process or?
I think we all have different ways. I have a couple of different things I do. I just either sit down and have a melody, and sort of vamp on the guitar or piano to that melody and record it. And sometimes all the words will come in that one sitting, or if I have time to actually kind of flush it out. And then other times I go back and listen to those short recordings and kind of pick out words or vowel sounds. And I don't know, sometimes it just kind of, you get excited about it and it'll kind of take you where the song wants to go.
Do you find like the writing process gets like harder as you're touring more, or is there like, do you find like inspiration from like the things you're doing on tour, or is it kind of hard to sit at the back of a tour bus and kind of write a song? Like what's that kind of process like?
It's kind of impossible.
But yeah, it's hard to, I like to write when there's nobody around, and it's hard to have any alone time really, which I mean, I'm happy to share space with my buddies, but still it's, you know, it can be kind of hard to have any personal space and really any time to like work on ideas.
You're also working on the live performance, you know, like
Right.
there's a lot of thought and work that goes into that. So it's
And
good
also,
to focus on that.
for me, like, just singing sometimes every night, it's like kind of, I try to save whatever I have for the show.
Put your hands together, guys. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats.
It was actually really interesting. I think they answered all the questions that I had for them, because one thing that I wanted to know about was the writing process and how whenever you get signed, does it change? But they seem like they're pretty personal with their writing. It's not a major label basically writing the whole music for them. So I like that.
It's really interesting to hear some bands come in and be honest about what's going on with them as well. Like they didn't come in and say we're loving every minute of this. They talked about the stuff that was hard and the stuff that kept them inspired through. So it's interesting to find bands that are talking about relevant information to them.
I'll take that away.
Yeah. They touched on a little bit about the importance of continuing to write even if you don't feel inspired, because it's like a practice. So I think that's quite relevant for us as songwriters.
Yeah. It's another thing, actually, speaking to people who are, even though our lecturers are in the industry, but it's getting to speak to people who are actually songwriters and they're purely songwriters and they're making money off that and they're touring, it's just amazing, because it's exactly what we want to do. And if you've got any questions, they're the people to ask.